We now welcome to studio Arsen Ostrovsky, the chair and CEO of the International Legal Forum, and in Jerusalem, Philip Luther, Middle East and North Africa Research and Advocacy Director at Amnesty International. Gentlemen, thank you both so much for your time on this day. Philip, I'm going to start with you. Israel rejecting what it calls false allegations in this Amnesty International report, saying your organization is biased and anti-Semitic. What do you make of this report and this response from Israel?
Well, it's a pity that the Israeli authorities are not engaging with this, because we've been trying to engage with the Israeli authorities on this issue, in fact, on many issues that relate to human rights concerns in Israel and the occupied Palestinian territories. So it's a disappointing response. We prefer them to actually engage with the substance which shows in what it has been the result of 4 years of research and legal analysis, a conclusion that there is a system of apartheid in Israel and the occupied Palestinian territories. It's a tough message to deliver, but also that the acts that are committed to further that system are crimes of apartheid, and that at the end of the day is our conclusion. And the Israeli authorities have reacted rather unconstructively, we feel.
Arsen, I'm going to bring in you for your reaction here, because there is a lot of concern about the substance of the report. Your reaction?
I suppose we should first be thankful that Amnesty waited at least 48 hours after International Holocaust Remembrance Day before calling for the dismantling of the Jewish state. I heard what Philip said, and he said that Amnesty was disappointed that Israel did not engage with them, or did not engage with them. But what should Israel have engaged them about when they're calling for our dismantlement in their report? Should we be negotiating with them about how many bags we should pack? At the end of the day, this report, much like the Human Rights Watch report before it, is part of a large and relentless campaign of delegitimization, demonization by these organizations. This particular report, it's completely baseless. It is no more than using the guise of international law and human rights to justify Palestinian terror against Israel. It is filled with malicious distortions of truth, fabrication of law, and baseless attacks against Israel. At the end of the day, they can repeat a lie 1,000 times, but it will not make it truth.
Philip, your response here, and the fact that this report includes very little mention of Palestinian violence against Israelis and doesn't use the term terrorism to describe those attacks. Your thoughts?
First of all, there is nothing in this report that suggests anything about an idea that relates to the dismantlement of the Israeli state. Where on earth Arsen gets that idea from, I have no idea.
Page 25, page 25 of your report.
Let me finish.
Arsen, you'll get your chance. Continue, Philip.
Secondly, no, this report is focused very specifically, and the scope of the report makes this clear, on Israel's treatment of Palestinians. And we focused on that in this report because there is a growing debate on whether the situation in Israel and occupied Palestinian territories amounts to apartheid. As mentioned, Human Rights Watch, but there are Palestinian organizations who've been using that discourse for some time, and very well respected Israeli organizations who've come to the same conclusion over recent months. And so this is a growing realization that it is difficult to understand the complexity of the situation without using that term. And this is it. And the importance of that is because of the effect it has on Palestinian lives. We're talking here about the effect it has, the laws, the policies and the practices, and the way in which it drives Palestinians from their homes, separates them from their families, and deprives them of a dignified life across the territories. To different degrees, we're very clear about that. But there is one holistic system that applies.
Arsen.
You know who else has applauded this report? Hamas, Islamic Jihad, and PFLP. So I think that in itself really tells you something. I'm happy that Philip and Amnesty are focusing on Palestinian rights, but I would ask, when was the last time you focused on Israeli rights? Israelis that have suffered thousands upon thousands of rocket attacks. When have there been reports into Palestinian anti-Semitism, into Palestinian terror? 5 years ago, when Amnesty was asked to look into and to investigate anti-Semitism, which is now at record highs, you declined because you said we cannot investigate everything. So clearly you have priorities, and the rights and human rights of Israeli civilians, it just does not rank high there. It's a shame, and it's sad of what has become of one storied human rights organization today.
Well, we certainly are going to keep continuing to have this conversation. There is so much to unpack out of this report and lots to break down. Arsen Ostrovsky here in Tel Aviv, thank you so much for being here. And Philip Luther in Jerusalem, appreciate your time, gentlemen. As we say, there is still lots more to discuss on this issue, but we appreciate your time on this day.